Alright, hello gamers, Mucklick here, recording this on Wednesday, November 20th. Honestly, that's not important for this video. And doing a little bit of a thoughts video after finishing, well, I say finishing, but finishing most of the new content that was involved in the Godspawn update. For anyone who is new to Guild Wars 2, not too long ago, they started a new system where they release a new expansion, and at the 3-month, 6-month, and 9-month mark, they release a big patch, and then at the 12-month mark, the next expansion starts. So 12 months after Secrets of the Obscure, Janthir started, and then we are at the 3-month patch for Janthir Wilds, and they added a bunch of stuff to it. Now, what all did they add? The Godspawn was the name of the update. These are just some bullet points to remind me what to talk about so I don't forget things, because I sometimes have the memory of a goldfish. News story. So the news story was the first thing. There was a couple of minor things with the voice acting that was causing some problems at launch. Basically, I believe this was related to the voice actor strike, and I've seen some people, jackals, saying, oh, how dare they release something who's unfinished? And my 2 cents on that is they announced this new release cadence a year and a half ago. So they were scheduled to release at this time, way ahead of time, and everything else was done, but some of the voice acting. And I believe that was because of a voice actor's strike, but I'm not going to testify to that, but that's what my understanding is. So they got to a point where they were ready to release this update, and they couldn't, or there was a few things not ready. The female Sylvari voice acting, the female Char voice acting, and Queen Jenna's voice acting. So if you don't play those other 2 things, it's just Queen Jenna. If you play those, then there's a lot missing. And really, what were their options there? Release it with everything else done and add that later, or postpone the whole thing because of that. Honestly, I'm glad they released it. I'm sad that those things are missing. There was also a funny bug with the voice acting I have heard of. Apparently, if you play the game in French, there's a moment where Waiting Sorrow is talking to Queen Jenna, and she starts suddenly jumping between German and Chinese a lot. I've seen a lot of reports of that, and it's really, I'm just imagining Jenna like, what? Guten Tag, ni hao? What are you saying? So apparently not only was, there was the issue with some of the voice acting not there, but apparently when they put in the dubs, I guess, they got some files mixed up because, there's some wires crossed. So hopefully that'll get fixed very soon for our French friends, because that's kind of funny. Now, going back to the story itself, how was it? How was it? Obviously a little bit of spoiler warning here. I'm about to talk about the story. So, skip ahead if you don't want that. The story itself was fine. There was a few moments I was like, oh, that's really cool. For example, when they talk about the connection that Mabon had with the Titans. That was a really cool tie-in. I think that was well written. That was creative. As far as all the other stuff leading up to it, I think it was good. I think it was not like phenomenal, but I think it wasn't bad either. It was good. It feels like the whole thing with the Titans happened really fast. Janthir launched. We came to Janthir Wilds. We're like, hey, watch out, bears, there's Cryptids. They're like, oh, we already beat up the Cryptids. Those guys were weak. We're fighting Titans. We're like, Titans? Oh, boy. And then we fight them a little bit, and they run away. And then it's like, come back 3 months, okay? And we come back in 3 months, and we fight them a little bit, and they're dead. So I realized, there was a 3-month gap there, but, in terms of just, the story, that felt really fast. I do not remember the Titans from Guild Wars 1. I played Guild Wars 1, but it was just so long ago, and it didn't really stick with me. I will say my mental image of the Titans in this game are that they are really weak pushovers. It's like, we were just like, pink, and it was just over. In the new story itself, now I totally respect them not wanting to re-release the exact same fights for Decima and Greer, but at the same time, I went in there and basically in story mode, I just went pink, and just Decima and Greer were dead, and then, Ura was a longer fight. Maybe since, the instance ends with Ura, they wanted Decima and Greer to be over quickly so you could just spend a lot of time on Ura. That was possibly it. But, Decima and Greer were really weak, and yet it said something about that they had been munching on energized bloodstone and powering up, but then they were just weaker than ever. Now granted, they're also in the raid, they're also in the Convergence. I'm talking about the story right now. Or because Ur's the new one. Right. So my thoughts on the Titans was it wasn't handled poorly or anything like that, but it did seem to happen really fast. It was just like, hey, here's a Titan. Oh, it's a dead Titan. Kind of reminded me of Ceres. At the beginning of Soto, when you first encounter Ceres, yo, that was wicked. It was so cool. Dude, you're crawling and trying to get away, and this guy is just power walking behind you with his own theme song playing. Dude, he was the main character. And then the next time you see him, you kill him. Damn. They could have done a lot more with Saris. So like Saris was a Chad. So this kind of reminded me of that, in that like we met these big nasty beings and then it's over. It was over really fast. Again, I don't think it was handled poorly, but they could have dragged it out longer, I think, or something like that. Okay, so that's my thoughts on the spoiler stuff. Yeah, I got a lot of people in chat saying move on from the spoiler stuff. That's it. That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on the story stuff. I do like the connections that they made at the end. That was an excellent use of that story writing mechanic. The other stuff, I've given my thoughts on that. Okay. All right. Hold on, I'm typing in chat. All right, it's safe. Okay, next up, the new Convergence. So the new Convergence and the new raid are basically centered around the Titans. All right, and spoiler or no, everyone should know that that was literally the thumbnail for the update was a Titan. Okay, so in the new Convergence, you go in there and you do like a little escort quest, and then you do some, you put down some, what are they called? Thumpers that shake the ground, and they get a Titan out, and they get its attention, then you fight the Titan. The Convergence also has the creative use of like, you're in there while you're hearing like Papa Bear tell the little bears a story. And sometimes he changes it. One of the times I went in there, and the mountain was a volcano, and there was fire raining down. One time there was a blizzard rolling in, and there was ice everywhere. One time there was what was it, like sandstorms? We had sandstorms in one of them. Honestly, none of it was that bad other than the fire everywhere. That was just a lot of additional stuff to keep an eye on. But the Convergence is pretty cool. I like how they kind of did what they did with Fractals, where there are different instabilities each day. So, some days it'll be basically a little different than other days. That's kind of neat. Additionally, one thing that surprises me is I was under the impression, and maybe this is a me mistake, that when you do the Convergence, you're going to get either Decima or Greer or Ura. Everyone I've talked to, and we're on day 2, so there's been, well, no, I mean, technically day 3, because of, there was Tuesday pre-reset, Tuesday post-reset, and then Wednesday post-reset is where I'm at right now. And everyone I've talked to has only fought Decima. So I think at this time in the Convergence, the only boss is Decima. So I guess Greer and or Ura are coming in a future update, and I just misunderstood that. So right now it's only Decima, but it does change slightly each time because of the changes to the story that the bears do. So that is how that works. I think scheduling is pretty good. They've got, like, the old Convergence happens every 3 hours, and the new one happens every 3 hours, and so there's like every hour and a half is another Convergence. So if you're using the public queuing, that's pretty good. If you're doing private queuing, then you don't care about that. You can just jump on in there, and it's it's fine. The fight, I think, is decent. I would say one problem with the fight is if you are in an area with a lot of lag, the number one setting we Guild Wars 2 players have told people for years to turn down if you're lagging is character model limit. However, if you do that on Decima, you can't see a lot of the attacks anymore. The arrows and the greens that you gotta soak and all that stuff, a lot of that disappears if you do that, and it becomes a problem. The lava, yeah, there's a few bugs in there. If you touch the lava in there, it will burn you all the way to death and nothing can stop it. It reapplies a burning condition every second for 1 second. It never goes away. So you will die and then need to be rezzed. So that's an annoying thing. It's a bug. I know it's already been reported. But the other stuff is fine. The character model limit thing is an issue. Does it prepare you for the raid? They wanted the Convergence to help prepare people for the Wing 8 raid, for people who have never raided, to kind of get them used to mechanics and get in there. I don't know. So I have, at this moment, cleared the raid and cleared the Convergence. Decima in the raid is a whole nother beast. Decima in the Convergence, there is a giant red arrow, and people friggin' stand in it all the time, and they get downed. It does have the same mechanics, but there's so many people there, and it's so, it's so kind of like laggy and stuff that, people are not really noticing. The green circles on the ground are almost invisible in there. They're really, really faint and faded. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but like, my settings are high, and I can barely see them. So most people don't see those unless I'm like constantly yelling for them to do so. And then there's the lasers. And then other than that, it's just red areas are bad pretty much. There's nothing too complicated. So some of the mechanics are there. I don't know if it does a great job of preparing for the raid. And I hate to complain about something without offering a better alternative, so I'm trying to think of what I would do there. Definitely need some kind of priority system where even if you turn down character model limit, you still see the boss attacks. That is really important. Maybe make the greens a bit brighter because they're super, super dark right now. Beyond that, I really don't have anything else off the top of my head. And then, of course, we don't yet have Greer or Ura for that Convergence, so can't really say anything about that. They did do some updates to the CM Soto Convergence with this patch. I have not done any Soto Convergences since this update came out. I've just been focusing on the brand new Janthir stuff. What need colorblind mode? That is going to become even more apparent in the Wing 8 raid. The Wing 8 raid has orange attacks. Sorry, there's orange things, green things, and red things. Orange and red are really close together. So they're, you know, and we're talking specifically Decima right now. So in the Wing 8 raid, there's a little escort with Glenna, and then you set up a base camp, and then you can choose to do Greer or Decima. Doesn't matter which. Then after you've done both of them, you can go fight Ura. Okay? In my opinion, at this time, Decima is the toughest boss. Greer is the next one, and Ura, the final boss, is the easiest one in the raid. That's my opinion right now. I do not think it is a puggable raid. Now, to be very clear, puggable is a large scale, right? There is God's gift of pugs that you find once in a blue moon, and there is, oh my gosh, this party is like, you know, cats on a keyboard, right? You know, there's a wide range. I'm talking on average. I do not consider this raid to be puggable. Now, there are going to be good pugs. There are going to be experienced raiders that jump into pugs with other experienced raiders. I'm talking on average, didn't feel puggable. I tried it with a few different pugs, spent like an hour with each one. They all did not do, they couldn't get Decima under like half health. There's a lot of mechanics in Decima that if one person messes it up, the whole group dies. And Decima is one of the first bosses. So to kind of go into it here, there is a red mechanic, and you need a kiter that is really good at what they do. Preferably range DPS, like long range. Virtuoso is the one that most people are using. And they need to have a teleport. Now, Virtuoso has Blink, so that works. If you've got like a rifle mech, they can use Shift Signet for it. But they need to be able to do their job at range and have a teleport to do a good job at being the kiter. Then you've got a few options of how else to do it, but you want to have like one party of people be ranged. So if you can have like a group that's like a healer and a scourge and like 3 virtuosos or something, that's like one of the easier ways to do it. But you know, it's not limited to that, but those are some ways to do it. And then the other group can be whatever, and they can be melee, they can be ranged, they can be whatever, and they need to be a little closer. So you've got some people at range soaking mechanics, and this video is not meant to be a how to do that raid boss, but there's a lot of very specific things you need. Greer, when you fought Greer, projectile block was really important. So we had multiple heralds in the raid that were running projectile block bubbles on a constant basis to keep that stuff shut down. Reflects are really important. So is it a good raid? I actually think it is. I think it is a good raid. However, a lot of people were saying like, oh, this is supposed to be like a new entry raid. I vehemently disagree with that. I do not think this is an entry raid at all. I think that if you are with a group of people that has been raiding for some time, it is probably an enjoyable experience of moderate difficulty. But if you are with people that have never raided before, it is probably quite challenging. And one of the first bosses, Decima, is the greatest challenge in there at this time. I don't know if that's going to change. Greer had some bugs that I know have already been reported, by myself included, where if you kill him, you then have to run into his room and GG again. So basically you have to die in sets of 2 because he doesn't respawn. Like you run in there, you try fighting him, you wipe, and then he doesn't respawn. So then you have to run in there again to trigger the fight, and then GG, and then he respawns. So every time you wipe, you have to run in and die again. So it's just annoying. I'm sure that's just a glitch that'll get fixed very soon. Aside from that, his fight was okay, other than it was a lot of balls. There was boon corrupting balls, there was damage balls, there was buff balls that the people shot each other with the balls, and there was blockable balls, and there was reflectable balls, and they were different balls that they almost looked the same, and there was big balls that he would shoot that shot out little balls out of the big balls. There was literally 17 different versions of balls on that fight. And to make the guide for that one, shut up, I am gonna have to go back through the footage of it and just like with a magnifying glass to tell all these things apart, because there was just so many balls and they're so similar. But we kind of brute forced it with just like permanent projectile block from 2 different people with the centaur bubbles. And your average raid group is not gonna have 2 permanent centaur bubbles. So again, it didn't feel like something that you're easily gonna pug. Wasn't that bad. I was with a group. I joined RTO TV and a group of his friends, and we got it on the Greer on like the 4th try, 3rd, 4th try. We got Decima on like the 10th or the 12th try, and then Ura took like 2 attempts. So there was very much a difference in difficulty there. Again, overall, enjoyable raid, moderate difficulty if you're with experienced people. If you're with new people, it will be a challenge. You will have nights where you're working on progression, and it will take you a while to get it and for everyone to do everything right. The fights have mechanics where one person screwing up can take out everyone. It's kind of like if you're on Deimos and someone steps in the oil and it wipes the raid. If you're on Sabbatha and the guy that was supposed to handle the cannon screwed up and everyone dies. Like, there are mechanics where one individual can drag down the rest, so everyone has to get like on point. You know, to give another example on Sabbatha, you kind of have 3 people doing work and 7 people getting a free ride, and they're just like, high DPS, you know, and they just stand in the middle of the platform. Maybe they move around because of the firewall and they just unga bunga. There is no high DPS on Decima. Everyone has to be doing something. Now, the individual effort by anyone, as far as like the number of mechanics you're dealing with, it's nowhere near like Doom or Kadim, like the people doing mechanics on those, but everyone's doing it. So I would say like there's less mechanical complexity, but all 10 people are having to do it, not like 2 or 3 people. So that's where it's going to be different. Everybody has to be kind of on the, you know, the same page. Okay, I think I've talked about the raid for a while. I do like it. I just want to make sure people have a good understanding of what it is. If you're going into raiding for the first time, I still recommend starting off at like, you know, Cairn at the beginning of Raid Wing 4 or, you know, early Raid Wing 1. Like, use those as your training grounds. Get to Raid Wing 8 a little bit later after you've had some practice. Okay, the next thing they added, Legendary Spear, Club Journey. So the Legendary Spear is really interesting. Like, one, it has got a lot of time sinks. Making like, okay, on the weapon, there's a step where you need like 100 sweet treated pine planks, which takes 500 honey flowers, 500 lowland pine logs. Then you need 100 neutralized titan alloys, and you need 500 rotted titan ambers and 500 charged titan ores. Then you need 100 shards of lowland shore and Janthir century, which you can earn yourself at a limit of 21 per week from hearts, or you can buy them from other people on the trading post. Hold on, this is it right here. But you need 100 of them. So if you're like, all right, well, I get 100 of these, I'll just buy it from somebody else. Well, that's 411 gold. And then you also need 100 of these. Well, I'll just buy these from somebody else. Oh, look, that's 596 gold. So just in the few items I've mentioned so far, we are at 1,500 gold, and so far what I've described is 20% of the spear, okay? So if you want money and you don't care about the spear, muck and make these things, do the hearts in those Janthir zones, and sell these. If you do care about the spear and you're getting it for function, no, get the Gen 1 spear, because the Gen 1 spear is like less than 2,000 gold for the whole thing. And this thing you're looking at, you know, how much is it on here right now? Now this is going to change a lot. Right now there's one for sale for 5,000 gold. Oh no, there's multiple for sale. Yeah, so it's down to 5,400. So if you're doing it for graphics, oh yeah, hell yeah, do what you're gonna do. If you're doing it for graphics, go ham, do what you want, chase the skin. But if you are doing it just for function, just get the old one, because it's like a fraction of the price right now. And that may go down in time, but it's going to take a while. There was also the step with the stuff from the, the refined homestead metal, refined homestead fiber, and refined homestead wood, which again are time gated unless you throw thousands of gold at them. And so that is going to take a few weeks. So if you're doing this slowly over time, you know, you can get it for basically for free, but it will take a lot of time. And you're doing a lot of events in the new zones, which I myself had it done. Like I had tried everything at least like once in the new zones, but I hadn't grinded them. And you need a lot of stuff from the new zones to get this thing. So it's also in the starter kit, yeah. So, you know, yeah, that's it. So Club Journey, way more expensive than the other stuff. That may change over time. I don't know by how much. I don't know if it's ever going to get down to the other legendary spear. So I think it is truly like if it like when Obsidian Armor came out, that offered a viable, affordable way for people to get legendary armor. Okay, it wasn't 10 times the cost of raid armor. It wasn't 5 times the cost of like the PvP legendary armor. It was just an alternative. This spear is not just an alternative to the old spear. This is way more expensive. And again, I only told you 20% of the materials. There's another massive, massive pile of stuff. And again, the price will you know, go down slightly in time, but I don't know that it's ever gonna reach the other one. So yeah, go for it slowly, patiently over time if you want that skin. If you don't want it, sell, sell, sell. Look at the mats involved in it. A lot of them are from heart vendors and they're time gated, so people are paying big money for them, and sell those suckers. Can you trade it? Yes, I just showed it on the trading post like a minute ago. Yeah, you can trade it. Like here's so some for between 5,000 and 6,000 gold right here. You can trade it. I missed the shards you were talking about. The shards are Shard of Lowland Shore from Lowland Shore heart vendors, Shard of Janthir Sentry from Janthir Sentry Heartbenders, Shard of the Homestead from your Homestead. And all of these things, if you're making the spear, you need like 100 of these. So that's like, 200 gold for that, and then like 400 gold and like 500 gold for these. Don't forget, we knew most of the recipe for Soto armor months before release. Club Jar we didn't know. Yeah. So the main thing with, what is it called? The obsidian armor is it was like old materials we knew about plus the essences. This had a lot of new materials. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, there's a way to make money for you, or if you're interested in the weapon, there's what you need to know. Be patient or you're going to go bankrupt on it. Like even I would go bankrupt buying one right now. Okay, so let's just here. All right, the next thing is the starter key. I just thought this was kind of a nice mention. If you get a legendary starter kit going forward from the newest one and then onward, it takes you to this really cool room now. And you can turn it into this guy that looks suspiciously like Lord Hyzen and say, show me legendary starter kit set 6, and it will show you what you would look like with all of the weapons in that set. There is Twilight right there. There is the fish spear, etc. And you can ask them like, hey, show me the unsheathing again. And he'll do that. And you could say, hey, what does it look like in motion? Show me the footprints. And like Twilight, for example, has a skybox in the footprints, and you can see that. But yeah, you see this. This was a really cool idea. This is one of those, they didn't have to, but they did, as Rose would say. So this stuff is really cool. This is a cool idea. There's absolutely no need for this, but it looks really cool. And then I can go over here to the repository and turn in my starter kit and then get the kit for one of these. You also get to choose if you want Gift of Might or Magic. So you can, that'll help you save money because you'll get the one that you need. Additionally, you can get a lot of information on how to make a legendary from these guys, which is going to put me and my videos out of business because they make the whole process a whole lot easier. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to this. This was just a completely extra, unexpected thing they did, and I think it's really cool. I think it's really neat. They did some balance changes. They did some balance changes to the game, and I have noticed none of them. They did some balance changes to some various things, mostly in PvP and World v World. I, peeked into PvP and did one round. I'm still getting one shot by willbenders, so I stepped back out. I'll try again in 6 months. The main problems that make it feel like a first-person shooter seems to still be in effect. So for anyone new to the community, I'll just say this real quick. I love the PvP in this game. I have 5,737 games played. I really, really do love it. Lately, we are currently in a moment of balance where some classes are nearly one-shotting each other. And to me, that's not MMO gameplay, that's first-person shooter gameplay. I don't like it. I'd rather play other games. So that still does not seem to have changed in any meaningful way. World v World also was changed quite a bit. They changed blueprints. They made like infinite siege blueprints. The blue and the purple ones are now all the gold ones. They did a lot of balance and stuff like that in there. I have not done World v World in the last few days. I have no opinion on the World v World changes. So if people say they're mad, then they're mad. If they're not mad, then they're not mad. I don't know. But I have not been following that. Immediately, someone in chat said the yak changes are terrible. Let's see. We are mad. We're mad. I am lay mad. The yak and hit point on lore changes were bad. Oh, that's all right. They made the hit points on all tower and keep lords match that of the big guy at Stonemass Castle. That's right. Willbender always OP. How to counter it? Just play it. I mean, I would rather just play other games. I would just rather play other games. But yeah, anyway, so that's my thoughts on the patch. Not bad patch. There's some cool stuff. The story, how long does it take me to clear the story? I think like 2 hours. I'm actually curious here. Hold on just a second here. I'm gonna check something out. Now, granted, the previous updates, let's see, when they did the 3-month update, it looks like it took me 2.5 hours. Yeah, I guess the main thing at that point though is they had the green bars. And I certainly don't miss those. So if the new chunk of story being 2 hours long means there's no green bars, I'll take it. But yeah, not sure if I have anything else to add. How was the update? I think it's some good additions to the game. As always, I hope that they continue to work on the shortcomings of the game, like the PvP balance right now. I think the new raid is good. I do not think it's going to hit their target audience of first-time raiders. I see it seemed like what they were going for was the Convergence will teach you how to play the raid, kinda, and then you go into the raid, you'll be like, oh, I've already seen these mechanics. Yeah. No, Decima's gonna rock your socks off. No, the Convergence is not gonna get you ready for raid Decima. There's not a chance in hell. No. You go start at Cairn, use my get to the point video, you'll be all right over there. You don't go to Decima right away. But yeah, I think that's all my thoughts on it at this time, for anyone who cared. And as always, if you've got any input of stuff that you think is worth talking about related to this subject, put it in the comment section down below, and I'll fight you there.